So I just got fired from Amazon. And
Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, we will once talk again about how many older workers are being laid off from their jobs. And now let's get started to watch some clips together.
I got laid off from my job. I cried a lot. And I think what hurts the most about it is that I showed up and I gave it my all, and it still wasn't enough. That's what stings. That's what stings. Not the title, not the paycheck, even though that was nice. But the fact that something that I gave so much to let me go like it didn't matter. Like I didn't matter. It's not about feeling undervalued. It's more feeling completely dismissed. So now, here I am. No job, no plan. I know there's other jobs and I know I will be okay. It just feels like grief right now. And it hurts, but I'll figure it out.
so I just got fired from Amazon, and I've been working there for 4 years and 8 months. I didn't even do anything wrong. I wasn't wrote up for attendance. I wasn't time off task. I didn't have any write-ups at all. And I disagreed with some policies and tried to talk to my managers about it. They viewed it as insubordination. I didn't even do anything wrong.
Well, it's been 2 weeks since I was let go from my employment. The reason they gave me was it's just not working out. That reason didn't sit too well with me. I did email HR. I asked for an official letter of termination, as well as a reason as to why it wasn't working out. They did get back to me with the letter of termination. They did not explain why I was let go, which is fine. I mean, I honestly expected to not get an actual reason. It would have been nice. I would have liked to known why it wasn't working out. I would have taken it as corrective criticism. Anything that I need to improve on, in the future at future employment opportunities. So I am applying for jobs. I did have an interview last week and I have one tomorrow. It's just a very slow process. I applied for unemployment, but it's under review. So I don't have any income coming in. So this has been fun, but it is what it is, and not much I can do about it on my end, but just keep looking for a job. So I know not much of an update, but that's what I got.
This is how I was pushed out of my teaching job. I'm a little wired up, so be ready for the story. I graduated with my degree in teaching in 2009. Ever since then, I've taught across the world, in Africa, in Europe, in the States, and most recently, here in my home state. This school I had been at for 2 years. It had been such a blessing. I loved all the families, loved the community, loved the support from the school, and I was really happy in my position after the first. The second year, things changed. For me and my family life, I had a lot of stresses happen. Not only that, the pressures of the school was getting a little bit more intense. Instead of just teaching math, science, and social studies, I was now required to teach all of the subjects, which added even more work onto my pile of family life and stresses out. Plus, my classroom that I had was not like a classroom I had had before. There were some behaviors that were happening that I was trying to learn and understand so that I could be the best teacher for these students. I'm a mom of 4, so my at-home life is always really busy. But what started out my school year was my kids were sick. There were some very challenging tests that came back that were really scary. And as a mom, I was really worried about my own kids and what was happening. I started off my school year really honest with my principal. I wanted to make sure that I told them everything about what was happening. I was honest about my mental health. I was honest about my worry and how I was trying to handle the classroom work, and also how I was trying to be there for my own children during this difficult time. Around Christmas time, I finally felt like I could breathe. My children, their state, their health was in a good place. And I felt like I was getting in this pattern with school and with my classroom, and I felt really good about finishing the year. I did go ahead and put in my resignation for the end of the year because I knew that that was something that I had been thinking about and talking with my husband about, and that was something that we were going to do. I was going to be able to stay home with my family so that the stresses of life could be easier for both our family and for me in the classroom. About the end of January, I felt like there was kind of a change and a shift in my world. My students' behaviors were getting more and more challenging, which meant that my classroom was getting harder and harder for me to manage. Not only that, I had found out that my grandmother was really sick, and it was possible that she was not going to make it. And so I started feeling the pressures of my home life and my work life again, which took a huge load on my mental health. It was then about February that I started to really reach out to my principal, letting them know that my mental health was not in a good place. I felt like I couldn't really handle the environment, that I needed help, both in the classroom and at home. Of course, they gave me pamphlets of things that were available in the school district, which I reached out to, but I was still feeling a lot of pressure to be at home with my family, to go home to Indiana to see my grandmother, to spend that time with them, but also really struggling to make sure that I had good classroom management and that my students in my classroom were being successful. It was about the middle of February when I found out that my grandmother had passed. I was devastated. She was my spiritual animal, and I felt my closest to this grandmother, and it was really hard on me. It's when I started reaching out to my principal and letting them know that the pressures of life were getting even harder, and I felt like I could not be the person I needed to be in the classroom. And I asked them if there was a way that I could move up my resignation in time to the end of the quarter so that I could take care of my mental health, be at home for my family where I felt like I needed to be, but also so that they could find somebody in the classroom who could teach the kids, be there for them, be supportive. It's then that a change happened that I never expected. I was told I could not move my resignation. I was told that I needed to stay in the classroom. I needed to figure it out. They gave me more pamphlets, more people to work out to, and that I needed to stay into the classroom, and that at the end of the year is when I could resign. I took a little time off and I took a breath and I really thought about everything. I was like, you know what? I'm going to take it one day at a time. I can make this. It's going to be fine. And so I started to do some mental health things, hoping to help me in my state, in my classroom. I visited my family and I felt like things were really going good. I reached out to HR again, asking if I could go ahead and put in my resignation, knowing that my brain was kind of in a place that I didn't feel like I was doing the best in my job, at which I was told I could not resign again. This time, my classroom took a field trip. That field trip was so challenging. I ended up crying all night and just so sick to my stomach. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. And I didn't know what to do. But what I knew was that I was in a mental low, like no low I had ever been in. I was told that I had to go to the doctor to get a note saying that I was unable to work in order to get my resignation in. And I knew that it wasn't that I couldn't work, I could work, but I knew that I needed something different. So I went ahead and went to the doctor because I wanted to do what was best for my class and myself. And when I went to the doctor, she also was on board and said, hey, I will write this note for you so that you can be able to find someone to cover your class for the rest of the year because you do need this mental break. Not knowing it at the time, I sent this note to my school, and they told me that day, as I went in a half day, that half day would be my last day. I was not to come back. I was not to prep the classroom. I had to have the principal in with me to tell my students that I would not be back, that I was taking a leave of absence, and saying goodbye was one of the hardest goodbyes I've ever had. It breaks my heart for my students, but I knew I had to do what was best and put my mental health first. Today, I get a letter telling me that they overpaid me in salary and now I owe them money. And I don't even know, like, my mind is blown. Not only was I pushed out of the classroom, now I have to owe this money to this job, kind of at mixed feelings because my heart's broken. I missed my classroom. I know I did the right thing because I needed to get my mental health and the class needed to have a different teacher. I know that that was right. I'm also kind of frustrated the way that the school district handled it. I also am just kind of shocked to get this, to have no contact with any of my kids. And to be honest, saying goodbye like that was really hard for me because I'm somebody who likes to feel the emotions and give time and process, and I wish I was able to do more for the teacher that was coming into my classroom, and maybe that's part of my anxiety, maybe that's part of my mental health, but I felt like I just left them unprepared. And so it has been really hard just to kind of have all these feelings and not know how to process them, down to the fact that it was okay and that maybe this is meant to be, this was a door closing, and working on my mental health and doing this energy challenge has been a blessing and has really focused my mindset. But it is one thing that I never expected, and I continually have the hearts of my students and my families in my mind, and almost have like this disappointed feeling in myself at times, but I'm thankful for all of my AM and PM protocols that kind of help me wrap that around. So here's to starting a life at home and taking it one step at a time.
That's a video,
That
guys.
is the video for today, everyone. And now let's come to the personal thoughts of myself. The economy in 2025 is tough. Housing, food, and gas prices keep rising. Meanwhile, many older workers don't have enough savings to retire. Some are still burdened with student loans, caring for aging parents, and raising children. Single mothers or widows often rely on just one paycheck, and if that disappears, it means that they have no choice but to face the homelessness, sometimes even living in cars with their kids, which is not a perfect environment to grow, for the kids to grow properly. This had led to many people dealing with constant stress and anxiety, which eventually leads to the mental health problems, a very serious problem of today's world, and it raises serious questions for the younger generation. If older workers are treated in this way, will it happen the same to the younger generation tomorrow? The job market in 2025 is especially tough for anyone under 40. I'm sorry, over 40, not under 40. They are often rejected for being overqualified or having too much experience. Companies prefer to hire younger, cheaper workers to cut costs, deteriorate. Businesses are not your friends. They can let you go at any time. That's why you should never depend on a single source of income. Always have a backup plan and build additional streams of income. That way, even if you lose your job, you can still stand strong without falling into crisis. And that is over our video today. And I see you in the next one. Let me know what you think about this problem in the comment section below. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel right here. And that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.